Reports came out earlier this week of Canelo Alvarez suing both Golden Boy, Oscar De La Hoya, and DAZN for $280 million. Canelo Alvarez is pursuing a lawsuit against Golden Boy Promotion and DAZN over the breach of contract, which this is what Canelo Alvarez told The Athletic. Quote, "I'm the pound for pound #1 in the world. I'm not scared of any opponent in the ring, and I'm not going to let the failure of my broadcasters and promoters keep me out of the ring. I filed the lawsuit so I can get back to boxing and give my fans the show they deserve." End of the quote. I found it very revealing that Canelo stated, "I'm not scared of any opponent." Like he just volunteered that information. You only say "I'm not scared of fighting anybody" if you are accused of being scared, which means DAZN is accusing Canelo of avoiding and ducking particular fighters. And we already know who those fighters are, which Canelo is required by stipulation in the contract to have one premier fight a year. So in other words, he have to fight the guys he's supposed to be fighting instead of cherry picking. Therefore, the $1 million question: did DAZN breach the contract or not? That's exactly what we're going to discuss in this video. So first things first. Now, Canelo Alvarez suing DAZN didn't surprise me at all. Matter of fact, I was actually waiting on it, since DAZN was losing up to $30 million per Canelo Alvarez fight, claiming that Canelo is not having not even one single premier fight when he should be fighting a premier fight yearly, which, thanks to the pandemic, it was DAZN wake-up call. They started realizing if we keep going at this rate, DAZN will definitely hit bankruptcy. So in order to avoid that from happening, they try to enforce Canelo Alvarez to take on the fights that he actually supposed to be taking. And if not, they offered Canelo Alvarez a huge pay cut, which Canelo Alvarez wasn't willing to take. With only one exception, Canelo was willing to take the pay cut if he was gonna fight Akhi, a fighter coming off a loss for the WBC vacant strap of Benavidez. However, DAZN blocked the fight because even with a pay cut, they still going to lose if Canelo cherry picks to that extent, which Canelo Alvarez was trying to play DAZN like a bunch of fools by requesting the WBC to order the fight, since he has the WBC in his back pocket. But DAZN wasn't gonna fall for that. And like I said, they blocked the fight because they realized we over here trying to raise the bar a little higher from Canelo Alvarez standards. However, Canelo Alvarez standards are so low that he considered Rocky Fielding as a legit fight, Akhi as a tune-up fight, and Smith, a fighter pretty much coming off a loss in a robbery fashion, as a dangerous fight. So you pretty much could see the mindset of Canelo is cherry pick, cherry pick, cherry pick till you get to the big cherry, then pick on the little cherries as you go on in the field. That's how Canelo Alvarez is treating his pro career in his prime, during guaranteed purses by DAZN. So if you're not going to take risks now, when the heck are you going to take a risk or two? So DAZN have been very frustrated with Canelo Alvarez for the longest, because like I said before, we have to lower the bar when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. If he fights to Smith, it's a celebration, when truth be told, Smith supposed to be a tune-up, if anything. but he is not cut from the cloth of the truth. You see Errol, for example, fighting Danny Garcia after a car accident where he survived in a miracle way. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez claimed he pound for pound #1, and he want to cherry pick Akhi coming off a loss. So the DAZN had it with Canelo Alvarez. They chose to stand their ground by forcing Canelo to fight the guys he's supposed to be fighting in order to bring the revenue that he's supposed to be bringing to the DAZN. The likes of Charlo, Andrade, and even Gennady Golovkin in a trilogy match. However, to no prevail or any success, because Canelo moves how he wants to move. He cherry picks how he wants to cherry pick. If you leave it up to Canelo, he will pick the biggest cherry in the field. And I'm not even talking about Rocky Fielding. I'm talking about the fighter he requested to fight from the WBC, Akhi, who's coming off a loss. So you don't have to take my words for it. All you have to do is peep how Canelo Alvarez move and maneuver around the best competition. From when he started his pro career to this day, Canelo Alvarez been maneuvering around Charlo and Andrade for the past 6 years. He haven't negotiated with any one of these guys. Matter of fact, the only thing he did was surrender his strap to Charlo by requesting a French fries belt from the WBC in order to save face, which is pretty much a witness protection belt, which was a premier fight if Canelo actually chose to fight his mandatory like he was supposed to, instead of surrendering his strap, giving up his pride to the man that told him, "I'll fight you in Mexico City. I'm more Mexican than you." This was a premier fight, of which DAZN been requesting him to take, including Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, Chavez Sr., Marquez, Morales, Barrera, and all these legends. They all stated, if Canelo want to be a great Mexican fighter, he have to fight the likes of Charlo and Andrade. And like I stated before, Canelo's still ducking to this day. So how effective is Canelo Alvarez lawsuit? Did DAZN and Golden Boy breach the contract? Well, according to the contract, Canelo is promised to fight twice a year for 11 fights in a 5-year span, which he's supposed to be getting paid a total of $365 million. However, due to the pandemic and the fact that Canelo haven't been producing numbers, every single Canelo Alvarez fight on DAZN flopped. And you don't have to take my word for this. DAZN stated that, which cosigns everything I have been preaching and reporting on Split Decision and Boxing Hood. However, the question has to be raised, what does that have to do with Canelo Alvarez? He was promised the purse for a date. So that's not Canelo Alvarez's fault, is it, if they chose to overpay him? But that's when the contract stipulation come into play. Canelo Alvarez was promised to deliver one premier fight a year. So he could have one tune-up, but he also have to have one premier fight that delivers the numbers that he actually supposed to be delivering. Like a Charlo fight, for example, or even Andrade / Gennady Golovkin. However, Canelo Alvarez wasn't willing to take these fights. On the flip side to that, Canelo Alvarez wanted to fight fighters that wasn't even on the list, which Canelo was trying to pretend they were premier fights, such as the Kovalev fight. Nobody requested the Kovalev fight. Not DAZN, not Golden Boy, nor the fans. And I challenge anybody in the comment section to point out a video where even a media person wanted to see Canelo versus Kovalev. It was in fact Canelo himself that was pushing for the fight because he was cherry picking the weakest link at 175 in order to make history. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez was trying to do his best to paint the narrative that the Kovalev fight was a history-making fight. It was a premier fight, so on and so forth. But people lie, women lie. However, numbers don't lie. And the way Canelo Alvarez numbers flopped on DAZN proves everything I've been preaching every single time I be reporting. Canelo Alvarez ended up cherry-picking Kovalev and knocking him out with ease. And like I stated before, Kovalev nearly got stopped by Anthony Yarde if Anthony Yarde didn't punch himself out. Kovalev trainer was telling Kovalev, "You want punch removed from me stopping the fight. If you take another beating like you just did, I'm stopping the fight." And it was pretty much Anthony Yarde that knocked himself out from exhaustion. So the main point is, this is a pattern. Canelo Alvarez always picks on the weakest link in every division. And to make matter worse, Canelo Alvarez always fight fighters coming off their worstest performances, such as Kovalev, Billy Joe Saunders, Gennady Golovkin, so on and so forth. So the pattern always been there, and DAZN got fed up with time, especially when Canelo wasn't producing any numbers with his cherry picks, which is how we all got here today. Canelo Alvarez is the one that volunteered this information, claiming that I'm not ducking anybody, I fight anybody, when he was talking about DAZN and the lawsuit. Now, why would you reveal that type of information to the public? If nobody is accusing you of ducking, why would you say, I'm not ducking anybody, I'll fight anybody? Unless you are maneuvering, unless you are ducking, and you are accused of ducking by DAZN and Golden Boy. And truth be told, that's why Canelo Alvarez is mad at Oscar De La Hoya, because he was trying to get him to challenge himself the way Oscar challenged himself time and time again. Canelo just doesn't have the cojones of Oscar, even though Oscar wears bras and all that. One thing for sure, Oscar fought the best time and time again, unlike Canelo. Which is why DAZN got fed up with Canelo Alvarez eventually, because he was just not producing with the money he was given, the fruits of the labor. All Canelo Alvarez was bringing to DAZN is a bunch of cherries from the field. So with that being stated, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this is going to escalate. I'm looking forward to see who's going to win the lawsuit. So with that being stated, drop y'all comments below. Subscribe below if you're trying to get smart about them. And if you're trying to get dumb about a second, don't listen to these decafs. The dumb, casual ass fans that don't know shit about boxing. Word to Roger Mayweather. May he rest in peace, inshallah. Shout out to my broski, my Akhi Dante, for being the entrepreneur of new media that I'm a part of. And if you're a casual fan and you want to be a hardcore, all you have to do is click on the notification bell to get notified every time I post or go live on Split Decision. It's a boxing debate / talk show, mixed, master engineered, produced by yours truly, Akhi, the past, present, and future undisputed, pound for pound when it comes to debating. I got these decafs shook, they scared to look every time Akhi's on TV, because it's always bad news, since the decaf's kryptonite is the truth. So to all of the decafs out there, grow the cojones, quit eating that contaminated meat that doesn't allow your cojones to grow, and call in. Quit treating Akhi like the Iron Mike of debating, the most feared. And to all of my Akhis, I appreciate every single one of you. Tune in, call in every show, and to be continued on the next episode of Akhi TV. Peace, and we out here.